This is episode 292 of the Gold Squadron podcast. I'm your host, Gio Morales, and today I'm joined by Marcel. It's not you, it's your list, Manzano.
Or both, sometimes.
Will, new year, new lists. Manzano. Wrong person. Hagewood, sorry.
I mean, it's an awkward way to announce our engagement, but, you know, I think we was in confidence.
So, it was that. It ended in both lists, and my brain just took a step back. Ryan, hacking up a lung, Staniszewski.
Yeah, it was a very COVID Christmas in this household.
I'm sorry about that. But it happens, right? It happens. At least you were together, family.
Sarah got it first after someone tested positive from a gathering we went to, family gathering on her side. And then she tested positive a few days later. We isolated her in the basement because we actually have like fridge, bathroom, shower. You can live down here.
Right.
And then Ollie tested positive 4 or 5 days later. Mm-hmm. He got over it faster than she did. He had very few symptoms. That was great.
The strong Michigan blood.
And then I got sick about a week and a half after she tested positive, but I didn't test positive. I don't know what I got, but I got not COVID, but still got sick. The household was contaminated in general.
Someone was like, we're going to leave him out. Let's give him
something. Yeah. Apparently I had to hack a lung too.
Well, today is our first podcast of 2023, friends. And our plan for today is very simple. We are doing a mega list of the week. Lists of the week segment, and we had some specific criteria that the people needed. So you can't just throw a list at us, all right? So what we're going to be doing is taking a look at your list. We're going to, of course, read your name, and they had to give us not only the link to the list, but a description of what they were trying to do, as well as what is the problem that they are trying to solve, and what do they kind of want us to address, so that our conversation actually has a direction. Now, here's the reality. Right before the show, we were kind of talking about how do we want to handle a list direction that maybe we wouldn't chase ourselves, or we don't think is a good idea to chase. We're going to chase your ideas, but we're kind of also give you a press and be like, hey, listen, this might be kind of, this would work competitively. This is just a fun trick, and if that's what you're trying to do, then that's okay. But we are going to kind of give you a kind of a range of where we think this could go. Could we be wrong in that? And maybe your trick could win you the world championships? Maybe. But we don't know. But before we do that, today our podcast is brought to you by the Gold Squadron Sector Series. Starting here in a couple of weeks, starting January 16th, it is our free tabletop simulator tournament. We have 4 sectors. There's 4 different time zone sectors that you can play in, and you get to choose that. We, of course, will be taking the top 4 from each and modified top 4 and coming together to figure out who's going to be the Sector Series champion. We have as of right now, 181 people signed up to play across the 4 sectors. Absolutely amazing, and looking forward to seeing how many players we end up with. If you want to join, go to goldsquadronpodcast.com, click the button to do that, and there is also a donation button. All prizes this time, there's no fees for anything. We're just taking donations. If you want to be generous, you can go ahead and click the button, and thank you to everybody who has and will. All right.
Which sector has the
least or the most
path of resistance to get to
that?
You know what?
It's still 2.
I think it is still 2, but you know what? We'll look at it together. All right. We'll go to Gold Squadron Podcast.
Just going by the numbers, who knows the quality?
I mean,
too.
All right. So if we go ahead and just open each sector map here, we see that Sector 1 has 72 players. Sector 2 has 22. We have 20 in Sector 3 and 70 in Sector 4. So actually that number has gone up since the last time I looked at it. So Tons of players. Obviously, Sector 1 and Sector 4 are the biggest ones, but Sector 2 or Sector 3, you still have to play 6 games. You know what I mean? It's not easy to do well in 6 games. Everybody plays 6 games, so should be a good time. I'm excited to see what comes out of it. Sector Series, and again, that kicks off January 16th. January 16th. So watch out for that. If you want all the rules, we have everything right there set and ready to go. All right, my friends, list of the week. We have people submitting underneath the Respond to GSP tag, because we were asking for a response off of our Discord. If you haven't joined our Discord, !Discord, or click the link in the description below. We're going to be starting off with Andre Paris. Andre Paris. We'll go ahead and pull up their link right now. We will also make this so that the picture is a little prettier for our audience, so that we can get things seen. Boom, shaka.
Just to clarify.
Yes,
I'm looking
sir.
at Discord right now. Are we starting at the top of January 2nd or the most recent?
The top of January 2nd. The people who paid attention first.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. If you submitted it early, you're getting a little bonus. Get a little priority here. All right, let's get it going. Andre Paris is saying, I'm trying to get Scum to work without Boba or a fire spray. Oof, that's a big ask. I think I like Afra, Manaru, and Gomet as a big jousting block. What would you spend the last 6 points on? I've tried 2 3-pointers for a 5-ship list as Ahav and Leighton, and I'm currently on Han. So the list reads as Han Solo in the customized 1300 with Trick Shot, the Child, Forlom, Greedo, Engine Upgrade, and Lando's Millennium Falcon. And then the part that they want to stick with is Dr. Afra with Lando, Perceptive Co-Pilot, Dengar, Overtune Modulators, Gomet Key, and the Hawk with Protectorate Gleb, Deadman Switch, and Manaru in the Jumpmaster with Cutthroat, Gar Saxon, Contraband Cybernetics, Punishing One, and R5P8. So really the question comes down to those 6 points up here. Jousting block of Manaru and Dr. Afra. What's Dr. Afra's ability, guys? What does she do?
One.
Spend a green token 3 times a game.
Okay.
But it has to be range 1.
Has to be range 1. Okay. So, I mean, Han Solo seems like a decent piece, but I know, like, I'm looking for 6 points, and my brain is almost automatically going to fire sprays. I don't know what.
No, there's no.
There's 7 points.
There's 7 points.
Are they 7?
Q90, for example, Q90 is probably more consistent than Han Solo.
Okay. But that's more of a defensive piece over offensive, right?
Oh no, it punches. It's
Yeah?
still, yeah. It
What do you think about another I3 to match all these other I3s in
good point.
Lazrazi is the other 6-point YB666. It does give you 3 medium bases, but
her ability has to do with you spend a target lock to tractor, correct?
yeah, it's basically blank. That's why she was always cheaper than the other ones. Though you could do Zam on it to get free target locks. You could try a tracking fob if you're really leaning into the ability. But I don't think you have to. I think you can just put like maybe Bosk Gunner on it to keep your offense consistent.
Just a question to Marcel. What are your current thoughts on Tel Travera? Is she a 6? Or he is 6?
There's 6 points. Yep.
Yeah, there's 6 points. I think Tel Travera right now is I'm not too high on Tel Travera, just without the punishing title and without really being able to get multiple actions consistently. She just doesn't do a whole lot, especially if you're doing like a jousting block. The whole point of a jousting block is to put out damage, and Tull's really not gonna do a whole lot. In the particular list that he's got there, he's got Gamut Key, most likely there to keep Dr. Aphra and Manaru tokened up. And you're getting
Afra
spread a
loves
little
those
bit.
tokens.
Yeah,
I
you're getting
kind of
spread a little
thought
thin.
Manaru could be pretty self-reliant. Yeah, I see Gamma Key helping Aphra mostly. That's why I thought maybe he could free up just a little bit of that help to maybe helping an initial alpha strike with like a proton torpedo tail, and backed up with like an ion cannon or something, so you do have a full forward arc attack.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think in this list, if you're going for a jousting block, and actually not even if you're going for a jousting block, if you're going for scum, period, you need to have Kanan. So I would probably find a way to get Gamma Key converted into Kanan. Like me personally, I'm trying, not trying, but have been using actually quite a bit, Dr. Aphra, Bosk, Gamut Key, and Cannon. But to do what he wants to do, I would probably go, I mean, you can upgrade Gamut to Kanan, and you still have a 5-pointer, for example, Cad Bane. This is a decent 5-pointer you can throw in there. So you would have Dr. Aphra, Kanan, Manaru, and Cad Bane. Dr. Aphra with the Perceptive Co-Pilot and Lando, you're pretty self-reliant anyway, because you're double focused every time. So that's like a focus target lock. One focus for rerolls, one focus for converting the eyeballs. So you don't. So this list is not as reliant on that Protector Bleb.
If you go up to Kanan and drop down to say that Cad Bane, you are offering 2 sources of stress control with Aphra and
Cad Bane shooting it over,
so
especially Cad Bane with
you're
Zuckuss.
shifting the jousting block in terms of sheer power, backed up by Gamma Key coordinates and durability with the token stacks and offensive output to a little more longer lasting ships by the numbers with Kanan's ability, with a little bit extra control.
Yeah, and you're preventing people from K-turning behind you and just... so I would probably go there. You stay alive a little bit longer. And Cad Bane, I mean, the main thing with Cad Bane really is just getting the title and getting Zuckuss on there, just to shoot that stress over. Outside of that, build it how you like, whether you like it with synchronized... is it called synchronized? The double cannon?
Sync laser.
Yeah, sync laser, or going with the proton cannons, like whichever way you want to go.
All right, so it looks like what we ended up with, and I did pull up Cad Bane. I was like, how do we get that in there? And I like the Kanan change. So we left your Dr. Aphra alone, Andre. We left Manaru in there, suggesting Kanan turn into not Kanan. What was it before? Protector. No, Gamma Key. Gamma Key turns into Kanan with Maul. I mean, that's just standard there, right? And then Cad Bane, you need to flavor the taste. We're suggesting for sure. Get that Xanadu blood. Take Zuckuss. Sync laser cannon. You got 8 points to play with. Let's fill out these 8 points for Andre. Where would we go after that, real quick?
This list needs Notorious somewhere.
All right, let's put it right here. Wait, we have to put a illicit first.
Contraband and Notorious. You love those 5Ks on Cad Bane.
And that gets you to 18 loadout. So there you go, Andre. There is our quick suggestion here on our first critique. Who's next up on the list?
All right, let me take a look here. I got you. This is Christopher Jenner. Gave us a rebel list, Dogs of War, he calls it, with Lando Calrissian, Perceptive, 9, Bastion on the Falcon title, or Bistan. I don't know why I said Bastion. Bistan. Wes Jansen, that's the new, after you shoot or after you defend, jam somebody. Well, specifically the other person, with elusive, proton torpedoes, failsafe, and S-foils. Got Tycho with Composure, classic, Snapshot, and Heavy Laser Cannon. Then Aaron Kraken with elusive and plasma torpedoes. So they said here they like having. I'll just read it for Britain. I would argue that this list is designed to benefit all 4 scenarios. I like having Kraken and Lando in case I go up against the evil tyranny. Lando can pass actions to West for double modding his torps, or can use his action to mod up and do a scenario action. West can jam before any of the other ships to deny defensive mods, or Kraken can shoot to give them more advantageous position, talking like barrel rolls, boost, things like that. And Tycho's there as an outlier that people tend to forget about till it's too late. Though I'm not sure about his loadout. So we can touch on that for a second. I mean, he's got a missile slot in addition to that cannon slot. I feel like the only thing 2 dice attacks need is just more red dice. So there's not a lot of options outside of what concussion missile, because we don't really need the proton rocket if we already have the heavy laser cannon. But that leaves us with 4 points. Marcel, you've been running them before. Did you have trick shot on them as your last 4 points?
I've actually been using them with elusive to keep them alive longer, and just ion cannon and concussion.
Elusive ion cannon.
That way, my 3-die gun is like, I'm always going to have a 3-die attack in the front arc, no matter what my actions and where
sure, probably a little bit more consistent than hunting the snapshots and the heavy laser cannons.
Yeah.
If you wanted to stick with the heavy laser cannon, I think the last 4 points in what you were building, Will, I would say just drop down to 3-point cost crack shot. So that because heavy laser cannon and concussion don't give you anything for range 1.
Range 1
so
bullseye.
At least with crack shot, you have that opportunity to push through some extra damage at a range 1 shot. If the bullseye, which most range 1 shots tend to, unless they're just edging themselves.
Sure, and this is an I-5 with an I-5 coordinator and a mid-combat coordinator, so I should be able to line up those bullseyes, you would hope. So that I think solves the Tycho question, but Let's keep the heavy laser cannon just for a little bit more offense and take a crack shot, heavy, and concussion missiles. I agree with composure and the ability to what do I want to say? And the ability to have Lando or Kraken or Lando or Kraken. I was going to say and West, but West is not that X-wing. So I think that's a good start. Do you guys? I mean, do you have any opinions on this Lando? I mean, it's pretty much built perfect, right?
Yeah, the Lando's fine. I just have one issue with this list as a whole of what it's trying to do.
Yes,
and that's with Wes and Aaron.
Right.
Because they're both competing to shoot first, and that's the problem. Like, you have 2 ships that are competing to shoot first. You have West that wants to shoot first to clear tokens, and then you have Kraken who wants to shoot first to pass actions. So with Lando, are you giving your token over to West so that West can shoot first, clear tokens, and then Aaron, who's going to take advantage of that if West already shot? And it also, another thing that I'm not a big fan of Aaron Kraken just in general, period, just because Aaron Kraken forces you to fly in too tight of a formation in order to be consistent. But I mean, that would be my...
You could just fly Kraken just next to Wes and let Tycho...
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Lando and Tycho take the left and right flanks. Because Lando's range 3, if I'm not mistaken. So you could really be slinging those extra actions towards the center of the board.
I get it. Lando throws it to Kraken. Kraken shoots first, gives it to West. But then you're.
I think you're relying too. You're thinking too hard about West. Would it be any different to run a different pilot, such as Core and Horn?
See, I think Cornhole
So
is more consistent.
real quick here though, in the chat we actually have Christopher Jenner in the chat right now,
nice.
and it looks like said I originally had it with Keo, but I thought the Initiative 3 was kind of awkward. So it sounds like Keo instead of Aaron
Tycho.
Crack. Instead of Tycho?
Oh, instead of
Right, because that's 3 points, right? They're both 3 points.
Yeah,
that's
so
true.
it sounds that comment to me makes it seem like Wes is more important. And so leaning into Wes and seeing if we're making a suggestion for another change, I would say let's change Aaron Kraken, because that sounds like that's where the rubber is.
Or what is it? Yeah, the A-wing is much better because you have the force, you have the ability to kind of stay and keep your, especially if you're doing concussion missile on him. You have you can double modify yourself, so it's a very self-sustained ship. Just that with crack shot or something. Yeah, you don't really need a whole lot.
Yeah, Keo, when you have Lando or some type of coordination around, that's where you can lean into further using missiles in case, because there's definitely games where Keo is at least within some firing arcs where she doesn't want to be threatened with only a single force mod defensively, taking locks on stuff that are much higher initiative than Keo is, and hoping that they stay in their front arc.
I think that change right there, I feel like really makes the list feel a little more open, little less constrained and more focused. Like what you were saying earlier, Marcel, there's not that competition anymore for who's going to shoot first. All right, so it looks like our final tweaks here for Christopher. We went Tycho, that initial issue that you were looking for. We went elusive heavy laser crack shot concussion missile, and we swapped out that Aaron Kraken for Keo Venzi.
Wait. No, you got to take that elusive off. Composure is stapled on there until they errata it.
So we have a hanging point.
Yeah, hang the point.
Fine, it could stay there.
It's worth it. It's worth the
composure
broken.
is worth 5 points on Tycho. So until then.
All right, so there you go. So correction, Tycho with composure crackshot heavy laser concussion, and then taking Keo Venzi instead of Aaron Kraken with crackshot and concussion missile. All right, let's move on to Hole 612. Take it, next person in line, whoever that is.
I would assume that was me, I guess. Just all right. So next, so we were with Christopher Jenner. Next is next person who followed the rules, which includes the Yasby link, I think was part of the rules.
Yeah, exactly.
Was Hall 612, and he said, "This is designed." You want to open the list? It's a Rebel Alliance list, and I'm trying to open it here. And the list, I won't read all the upgrades yet. It's Ahsoka, Tycho, Keo, and Lando, very similar to the last one. And it says this is designed to be an all-around list, with Lando being able to pass actions to the other pilots for claimant objectives, modding attacks, mag pulse warheads, and marksmanship can be used to push crits and knock off crates. The A-wings can stay mobile and claim objectives. I'm really struggling. So this is the problem.
Yeah.
I'm really struggling to find the best setup for this item. Any help would be greatly appreciated. And the list is Ahsoka in the A-wing with extreme maneuvers, instinctive aim, marksmanship, cluster missiles, and all the A-wings have vectored cannons, which is the system phase, boost, or rotate. Tycho with lone wolf, marksmanship, heavy laser cannon, mag pulse warhead. Again, I think we're going to tear the vectored cannons off pretty quickly on this one. And then you have Keo with elusive, mag pulse, and vectored, and then Lando with Nien, actually the same Lando as before, which is Nien, Biston, Perceptive, and Millennium Falcon.
So here, a quick question, Marcel. What for the premise? I guess one of the questions I had when I looked at this question is, what did they mean by setup? I know that we don't have the opportunity to ask them that directly. If you're in the chat, let us know what you meant. Do you think they were talking more about upgrades? kind of
I don't know what he's I actually don't know. And
So let's choose a path. How do we want to
Sure.
how do we want to translate that word?
I'm
Let's
just
go
gonna
with
say,
flying. Like I think that's what he meant. Like set up like deployment and like effectively using the lists.
well, let's start off just by actually the list critiques, which is what we're doing, and then we can check.
Yeah.
Which is in this particular list, especially with Ahsoka and Tycho both being at initiative 5s, vectored cannons is more of a hindrance. It's getting in your way, and it basically is. Low. We said composure is worth 5 points on Tycho. So guess what? It's equivalent to Lone Wolf, and you get 4 points to put somewhere else. Just look at it that way. So now you can throw your 4 points somewhere else.
But as a note, composure doesn't work with the turrets.
Exactly. That's why you took them off. That's why he said we were taking vector cannons off.
Sure.
And then from there, it's essentially the same concept as the list before, just using Ahsoka instead of Wes Jansen. So it essentially they're both trying to do the same thing in a similar way. So I guess that's just a question for you guys. Like, is it just a copy paste of the list before and say, hey, give that one a try? Because or
Well, it looks like they want
Ahsoka is better than Wes. I mean, that's really the only change is Ahsoka and Wes outside of the upgrades.
So I would say keep the pilots. They want the 3A wings. Is there anything we can do with the upgrades to make it work? And maybe the critique here is that I guess here's my question. If we kept these pilots, do we think that there is a competitive hindrance to the list? Or do you think it works as is? Does it have a chance in a random tournament?
Massively wrong with the pilots. No. I think these are some of the top A wings you're looking at. Tycho at 4 points, Ahsoka strong Force user at 5, and Keo cheap Force user at 3.
We actually looks like Hull 612 just popped in the chat, said, I feel like the synergy between the pilots is not as good as it could be. Is there a better option than Keo? If no, what should Keo's loadout be? So it looks like the question that they actually had turns out to be Keo. I grabbed the wrong ship.
I mean, I actually think right now, I don't know if you already mentioned, Marcel, the Mag Pulse warhead on Keo to me doesn't make any sense. You're low initiative. That should just be concussion.
Yeah, it's a jam.
These things need to push damage through. A-wings need to actually provide damage. I would generally only tend to bring Mag Pulse missiles on ships like Hollow, as an example. Like, it's a utility piece. You can use it when necessary. It's high initiative for it to be used on a broader, more reliable shooting order. And it already has a base 3 dice attack, so I could just use the standard thing. It's not my way to get through.
Yeah. I think I fully agree with that. Why does it say 2 out of 8 in your?
We just put concussion missiles, so we need to fill.
It's not counting it in your. That's weird. Yasby's not counting it.
All right, let's try to fix that.
It's funny sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. It is what it is. It's just.
So Keo has 8 up. Loadout. Looks like we're having so that's 5. And what would be the upgrade here? Crack shot for 3.
I like elusive.
Elusive or crack shot, either one.
It's hard to go around with elusive on a 3 agility ship these days.
And then what about Tycho with the final upgrade? Looks like we have some hanging points there too.
Switch it to either of the 2 Tychos we talked about earlier.
Yeah. I think if you really want to keep Mag Pulse warheads on one of the ships, you want to at least change the heavy laser cannon to a ion cannon so you can get a white arc 3-die attack. The whole point is to throw 3 red dice. That's the important piece.
So this was you're suggesting ion cannon and what else?
If he wants to keep the mag pulse on there, I would switch it to ion to make sure that if you don't have anybody in bullseye, you can still guarantee the 3-day attack if you can't get that lock.
All right. So that's a start to how that list could work out for you, Hull. So go ahead and chase that those changes on Kyo and Tycho. I'm going to get that moved over to our document here. What we are doing is I'm keeping a running list of all the changes that have been suggested, and we will be posting them out after the show. That way we can get that going. I'm going to pull this one to the side, though, because I feel like that window is acting up a little bit, and I don't know if that I don't trust the link. I think next in line we had Alan Clark. Oh no, we lost Will. He clicked the wrong thing. Let me. All right, so let's bring back Will first. I'm gonna hold on. I gotta cast my resurrection spell. 1 second. That's right.
You keep trying to leave, but they pull me back in.
That's right. All right, let's go. Next, we have Alan Clark.
Yep. So we have list comes from Alan Clark, running a Republic list. The list itself, we have 5-ship list featuring some Naboo fighters, a Z95, and a pilot. Specifically, we have Rick Olay with Daredevil, R2C4, Advanced Proton Torpedoes, Fire Control System. We have Danae Elberger with Proton Torpedoes, Fire Control System. We have the new Gavin Sykes with Juke, Plasma Torpedoes, Fire Control System, and Synchronized Council. Stub with Shield Upgrade, and then Broadside with Ion Cannon Turret and Electro Proton Bomb. Rarity these days. Describes build a list using 3 Naboos, trying to make a list that primarily plays objectives but has enough firepower to kill 8 to 10 points of enemy squad while flying 3 Naboos to get my 3 painted Naboos on the table at once.
This player knows what they want. They said, "I want 3 Naboos on the table." That's the line.
That's the line. So that is the minimum we have to consider here if this player wants to stick with their 3 Naboos because they have nicely painted ones. Go forward with that. So, but they also know that they want to be able to kill 8 to 10 points, which matters because the average is about half of your points accruing in most games is killing ships, and the other half is doing your objectives. I think. So first, are these the best 3 Naboo starfighters to start out with?
Nope.
That was my first question. Was we have to assess the Naboos? Are they the right ones?
Yeah, are they the right ones? Before we even consider their loadout, are they the right ones? I mean, opting for only a single 5-point and the rest be 4 points is a good consideration to try and make the rest of your list as best as possible, but it may not be the best to get those 8 to 10 points.
Mm-hmm.
Because Rick Olay is good. Whether or not Advanced Proton Torpedo, whatever from there. He's 5 points. Do we want to change one of the other 4-point Naboos to a 5-point, specifically Anakin Skywalker? He's the next one to me that provides some of the best damage dealing output with some of the kit that you could put together with him, with having Force, Proton Torpedo, likely passive sensors. Now, do we take out Danae? Do we take out Gavin? They're both I3. Gavin's ability seems to have that sort of high floor of consistency, but not like a high ceiling. Because as a new N1, while you defend or perform an attack, if the speed of your revealed maneuver is greater than the enemy's, so similar to Rick Olay, you may reroll your blank results. So,
Danae to me seems the hardest to trigger. I guess
I'm not too worried about the trigger and more about which one of the two actually gives me an advantage. Because they both have close to the same loadout. Gavin Sykes has 2 more loadout. And a mod slot, which is actually rare in
Gavin
N ones.
is very valuable because they're the only one that can take that synchronized console. So the reason these are the same, well, maybe not the reason, but Gavin takes the lock, modifies with Juke, FCS, and his ability, so he doesn't even need the lock, and can give it over to Danae, who will fire right after him.
Okay, that's an interesting combo for sure. But it's getting that lock. You're still I3.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true.
And you're still single modding your. I mean, if you're re-rolling your blanks, that's and you're only
Can't
using
re-roll your eyeballs.
And you took your target lock as an action. It's not a. Yeah, it's not a very.
I mean, you get rerolls and Juke. I mean.
Yeah,
you
but
get
the
rerolls
rerolls
on your
are only
blanks.
on your blanks, and your eyeballs will
Oh,
stay.
well, you still got fire control system.
Sure.
So what you're saying is you need a coordinator in here. Because I think actually the Naboos are fine. Maybe Padme over Rick.
No.
But
Anakin is way better than.
I mean,
Rick.
I think we.
Every 5 points, Anakin is better than Rick every day. You just put passive protons and the R2C4, and he's gonna be fine.
Yeah, I actually think Rick needs the torpedo the least, and he can take advantage of just ion torp. He can go Daredevil, ion torp, and you have like 9 points of stuff to work around with. Collision detector, that seems fun. But I think I want to change Danae to Anakin, and we want proton passive sensors and R2C4. So R2C4 will not be on Rick Olay anymore. It probably means we need to reassess the last 2 ships. Yes, correct. So let's just delete them both for now. Just like we could get Stub back. I'm more likely to. I mean, we need to bring Broadside down to a 3, or combine them both into a 6, or something along those lines. Which there's not many great 6-point options in Republic outside of like maybe a Hound Lad, but the 6 is pretty scary to consider him with. Rick Olay, Daredevil. Marcel, what do you think is the best Rick Olay build?
Let me see what you have there. Fire control, advanced. Nope. Juke for sure, especially since he's shooting first. So I'm looking at your screen, Dion. So I have that first. Collision detector for sure. I don't think it's that. We're working on Rick.
Also, just Juke collision detector.
Yeah. Yep, and Juke. Yeah, I would probably just do that. That way he's just flying around doing his thing. He wants to go fast. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want rocks to get in his way. Either that, because with R2C4 being on Anakin, I don't want him to target lock. I want him to be in focus evaded every turn. And yeah, I don't think is there an astromech right now that gives you a red action or an action when you're doing a red maneuver? I don't think so.
Yeah, R4P17.
Pattern analyzer. Yeah.
I would probably do that, and then if it's not this version, I would probably do that just to keep him when he does his 3 talon rolls. Have a focus on him after his 3 talon rolls. That would be either or one of those 2. By the way, I saw this on Shark Tank. This is probably the greatest innovation of our lifetime. And so you can pick up your
knuckle chopsticks.
Yes. So while you're working on the computer, grabbing your soda or whatever, so you can grab your chips without getting like chip thing all over you, all over your fingers.
Marcel basically looks like a.
He's more machine than man now.
All right, so where did R4P17 go? Were you opting that into Rick Olay instead of collision?
No, I was saying you can choose either way. I mean, the whole point is you want to keep Rick going fast and tokened up, and they both allow him to. One of them allows him to just fly through rocks and kind of get back into the fight through that way. The other one allows him to just do a 3 talon roll and still be focused.
So I think Gavin, let's take real advantage of that mod slot. Let's get rid of the Juke Plasma Torp Fire Control. Let's put on Shield Upgrade first. And then I think either Ion Torp or Advanced Proton Torp. Advanced Proton Torp, that'd be the full loadout. Ion Torp, just find a way to get more dice in the attack. And with the evade, your reroll on blanks, native, at least if you go faster. And so hopefully, like, if you just take a lock, you'll be fine with that. So whatever you choose on your Gavin Sykes loadout, we're ixnaying the Sync Council thing because we have nothing to really partner with, or ideally, because we're going Rick Olay and Anakin Skywalker. So last 6 points. I think some of the best 3-point combinations right now in Republic is like Contrail and whether it's custom Contrail or Coruscant Contrail, either way. And probably let's do Coruscant Contrail for this one, and then either Kickback from Coruscant or Click B-Wing.
I think Click is important because when
Coruscant Click.
Yeah, I think because when you get to those range ones, Click tends to be more helpful, and also if you don't get the target lock, it makes those 2 dice guns perform a little better at range 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Click can help protect some of these ships that are going in the mix of the engagement that can't get the 3 agility or want to limit the amount of shots incoming. So probably really designated for Gavin and Anakin. And then Contrail can be his own little mini pocket ace at I-5, boosting in a little bit of control with the ion bombs. We don't have the electroproton bomb anymore, but I think with a well-played Contrail, those ion bombs can be very helpful. And when they're ioned, they go slow, and your fast-moving N1s can take advantage of someone who went slow with that speed. Granted, I think I would need to double-check the rules reference to make sure that
they don't go any speed.
Yes, it's based on dial reveal, and there's no reveal on the dial, just direction on the dial for ion maneuvers. So I guess counterintuitive, but at the same time, ioning someone is still very valuable.
Still a good tool.
Yeah. And precise astromech is really what you're gaining with that Contrail. If you don't have a lat around, it's a great way to just focus lock.
All right, there you go. So we tweaked that Republic list quite a bit. Hopefully your 3 Naboos are still intact. I know we completely changed the other side, Alan, but that is where we ended up. We got Rick Olay, Anakin Skywalker, Gavin Sykes, and Contrail and Click from the Siege of Coruscant. Let's keep the party going. Who's next here? I think we got Patrick H, aka Worms, giving us some rebels. We got a lot of rebels showing up here. Let's see what this is a slightly different flavor. Says this Rebel Beef 2.5 Tycho flanks, everything else jousts. 2 tubes and Kraken allow for some full modded shots, and here is the problem: Leia on 2 tubes or something else. I like the stop perceptive co-pilot combo, but something may be better than Leia. So it looks like we're looking at a single pilot and a single upgrade. What do we have to work with? And the rest of the list, we got Tycho, Composure, Trickshot, Heavy Laser Cannon, Concussion Missile, Garvin Dreas in the X-Wing with Advanced Proton Torpedo and R5K6, Jack Porkins with Advanced Proton Torpedoes, R5D8, Unstable Sublight Engines. That's those are both Battle of Yavin X-Wings. Then we have Aaron Kraken in that Z95 popping up again here with Elusive and Plasma Torpedoes, and the pilot in question benthic 2 tubes with hopeful, perceptive co-pilot Leia Organa and pivot wing. Leia allows you to spend those 3 charges. Has been a good card for a long time. Took us a while to figure out how good it was. I guess really was dependent on the point cost. But you spend those 3 charges, and during that phase, each friendly ship reduces the difficulty of its red maneuvers. It's a card that affects the entire list. On a single turn in an average game of X-Wing, we're playing 7-ish turns, 6 to 7 turns. So if you play it, you use it early, and then one more time late. Offhand, I can't think of anything else better than Leia Organa.
With these pilots, Tycho loves that white sloop. While he's stressed, he can take even more stress tokens, take even more actions. The X-Wings love a good K-turn, though Jack is kind of doing his own thing with that. They still could appreciate it. For overall the list, I think definitely Leia's the right call. But as far as benthic 2 tubes, I think I normally see them with Jin and Contraband. Contraband giving you that same kind of pseudo stop once per game, or not pseudo stop, but stop with actions. You can take, but I'm not sure the evade would help out as much without, say, a Hera out there, other than maybe changing Garvin's focuses to evades when you sling them. Maybe turn the composure focus into an evade with Tycho. But I feel like they're still fine with their focuses.
Yeah, because with when you had this kind of combo with Hera, you had a way to manipulate the token use, right? Now this is very defined, and you could say, well, I'm just not going to shoot the one with the evade. You have that option now if you'd like. So, are we just going to tell Patrick, we think you did it, rubber stamp it?
I do think this is very close to a list I've considered trying out in Rebels. Almost all the pieces are there. The same Tycho, minus crack shot instead of trick shot. The Garvin, the Jack, the Aaron Kraken. Although I tend to prefer passive sensors Ion Torp on Kraken, just to find a way to bring 4 dice. And against I6s to get that lock or anything that moves afterward, instead of relying on your own initiative locks. Granted, elusive is nice, but it's a Z95. It's 3 points. If they go hard enough on it to kill it, that means they're not shooting the other stuff. But I think what could make this list tick a little further on the upfront offense, or to really enable the chance of those advanced proton torpedoes on the Yavin X-Wings, is Corn Horn for 5 points. You go Corn Horn, R3 Astromech, proton torpedoes, and I think can get elusive. You lose Leia, which doesn't feel great. You lose the extra bonus of having extra shareable focus tokens via Benthic's ability. But what you gain is all you got to do is stick Kraken next to Corn, and you will pretty much guarantee that you're going to get locks on things that you want. And both X-Wings, all they need to do is just lock Corn to the beginning of the game. When they have the opportunity, maybe they couldn't get a lock because they didn't want to try and take it and figure out who would be in front of their arc at range 1, or in front of their arc in general. Having either of those 2 ships available that have lock, focus, and threatening hopeful for a boost, or that advanced proton torpedo, Cornhorn can enable that actually really, really well, because it's in engagement phase. Same with Kraken. If all the ships have moved after Cornhorn, or whether it's another I5 or I6, Kraken can Cornhorn can just take the focus. Kraken can just shoot at something, give Cornhorn the lock action, and take locks on 2 ships, and help transfer a lock via when Cornhorn shoots at someone he has locked, to enable more of those advanced proton torpedoes. Because I think that's where can push these Yavin X-Wings at 4 points over the edge, is when you do get those advanced proton torpedoes off. That's where the extra damage push can help you win games with these.
All right, and what was that loadout on Corn Horn again?
Should be proton torpedo, R3 Astromech, and elusive.
All right. So what I'll do is I'm going to save that that version of the list just as a suggestion, but since that's click the button.
Yeah, more of a hey, Benthic looks still solid in this, but here's this that you can try as the other 5-point thing.
All right. Boom. There it is. Making notes. There it is. Got it. All right. Who's next on the list? Let's keep it going.
All right, we got William Hayes coming in with a first order list. Let's take a look at the list here. This is a list that includes the new Slamming Lin. We'll talk more about that later. But Fanatical, Crackshot, Advanced Optics. We got DT798. That's the Strain Malorus with Fanatical and Advanced Optics. We got Commander Malorus in the FO with Cluster Missiles. Agent Tyranny with Elusive, Fanatical, Biohexacrypt Codes, Agent Terex, and Tactical Officer for those white coordinates. And then Quick Draw, Marksmanship, Outmaneuver, Pattern Analyzer, Special Forces Gunner, and Fire Control System. So they say that the list is trying to leverage the slam ability from Lin to obtain good positioning and objective control, with the trick of moving and shooting with quick draw in the activation phase. I like Lin, so gonna have to keep that. DT is good and quick draw for obvious synergy there. I think Malorus for their cheapness and Tyranny just to be a pain are good ways to round out the list, but it's not doing terribly well. And I'm sure there's room for improvement, especially in the 8 points spent on Mal and Tyranny. I'm also curious if foregoing the third tie is a good option, if it allows better ships to be in there. So really focusing on Lin and Quick Draw, plus wanting to use the new DT. So let's take a look here, and let's read Lin word for word, just for those. Is one of the newer pilots. Setup: after placing forces, assign primed for speed condition to yourself and up to 2 other friendly TIE FO or TIE SF fighters that have no equipped mods. That prime for speed adds a white slam action to your action bar, but says after you perform that slam action, you must suffer 1 damage to remove 1 disarm token. Now, the things I do like about the list in thinking about their kind of synergies is having that side shuttle, being able to coordinate quick draw even at long range with those biohexacrypt codes. So when you're out there slamming, going for that outmaneuver, you're not doing it without mods. So I like that line of thinking there. I'm not sure if I'm sold on DT over Scorch. I definitely think if you have Scorch, then you're if you have Scorch and Malorus already, definitely DT might be the 3rd or 4th FO that you reach for, because they can, probably the 3rd one, because the other ones had to take ion cannons for those extra attack dice. So I think the real question comes down to, are you trying to coordinate quick draw, or is there another way? I'm trying to think of, off the top of my head, is there another way to give an action outside of the Psi Shuttle in FO? Ryan, do you know off the top of your head?
Not in your own control.
Agent Terex, it's not an action, but I mean, it's a token.
It's still from a shuttle, though.
Sure. Well, the problem is that the points that quick draws were 6. So I was going to say, like, we could do Squad Leader Longshot, which is a coordinating ship for 3 points. But we're going to have 2 extra points if we do that. Mm-hmm. So that's a little awkward there. I think that, and we can only put the slam on 1 other ship, which is very interesting to me as well. Are we trying to slam with other ships other than quick draw? You guys think, is it worth the gimmick or not? It's probably not worth the
depends on what
gimmick.
it could
But
be. I mean, if you're going to be stuck in 3 arcs, range 1, just like K turn behind it or something.
Yeah, it's for management of shields. Like, all right, because Quick Draw prefers one-on-one engagements, right? Like that's really what she wants to do.
Sure. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I want to put Agent Terex out there, but we'll have to find some extra points as well. Let's just have some fun, and let's actually go with Agent Terex as the pilot for the Psi shuttle. And I'll tell you what.
All right, we're getting crazy. Getting crazy. So that gives us a point, right? That gives us 1 point.
Yeah, we're probably. What?
I'm out. Nope. Terex pilot. Nope. It gets rid of
Nope.
Terex.
Oh, but we could take Dead Man Switch though, which will make slamming a lot more fun.
Sounds like more dead FOs.
Yeah, it does sound like more dead FOs. Let's and we could only slam with an SF. Let's go with Backdraft then. Let's risk not taking the coordinator. I'm gonna drop probably DT as well. And we're gonna bring 3 SFs. Let's go with that instead. Wait, I immediately regret that. Because I want to whisper in there.
I was gonna say, yeah. The 4 point should probably be Nightfall, right?
Yeah, let's take Backdraft and Nightfall, actually, and Malorus.
The speed you get with the sensor scrambler, depending on your load on Nightfall, seems pretty good.
All right, I'm gonna go back to the original one because we broke it. Yeah. So we want.
Let's go back. Let's keep Lynn. Let's keep DT because that's the one that they were. That's the one that they liked. So let's actually keep DT.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although I say you should put Elusive on him. But what do I know? I would say Elusive Optics, but Crackshot, Fanatical, any Pattern Analyzer. Honestly, any of those are gonna be give you value. So we're really talking about Nightfall and Backdraft here. And I think Backdraft could be another person who really benefits from that slam. Because taking that idea of not using it to get into combat, but we're using it to get out of combat. And what better ship than a ship who could shoot out their rear? Let's, I don't know, Special Forces Gunner, Pattern Analyzer, and Proud Tradition is normally my Backdraft go-to. Those hard ones, being able to focus lock is just so powerful, in my opinion. You could really catch your opponent by surprise by shooting double-modded 4-dice rear arc attack when you turn away, which is pretty crazy, in my opinion. And then what'd you like on Whisper? You like the Scramblers, of course, since the Scramblers to go fast, and Procket, I assume. And Fanatical, because you got 1 point. You can go Marksmanship, I guess. But let's just go Fanatical to be a little bit more consistent and on theme. So while you do lose your coordinator, it is going to hurt your quick draw. What I think, though, is that you're going to get more quote-unquote scarier units. That Nightfall, with the sensor scramblers being able to hand out jams, plus being able to disrupt through just the jam action as well. And then Backdraft being able to get another heavy hitter in there, either taking those front and back shots or just 4-dice rear arc shots. And, like I said, another candidate for Lynn to be able to slam past somebody. Can you slam into a 3K and take Pattern Analyzer? I don't know if I've ever tried to do that. I don't see why not.
Pattern Analyzer
again?
Slam.
Yep.
Into a sloop to activate Pattern Analyzer.
I feel like this answer is known
Yes, it is,
back when
because
we used
of,
to use Black One on 9 Nub.
Yep.
Yes.
So yes,
That's right. Well, 9 had a problem with the ion, but you don't have that problem here because you just got to take a silly damage. So yeah, that could be a way.
I think that works, yeah.
Yeah, you 3 forward, 3 sloop, your backdraft, get them behind the enemy. Or if necessary, just I guess you could one bank hard one slam. That seems a little unnecessary though. But I think that getting these more mobile units, Nightfall and Backdraft, give the enemy something to shoot at other than Quick Draw. Which, if you put an outmaneuver, slam, and Quick Draw on the board, you're going to cause some attention to be brought to it. So you're going to need to punish the enemy for chasing that Quick Draw.
And what was the loadout that you wanted for Nightfall? You said sensor scramblers.
Proton Rocket Fanatical.
Okay, I figured that's where we were going.
Yeah, if you're shooting rear arcs and your shields are down, start taking evades. Otherwise, you're focus jam every day.
All right, got that one down, and we got it in the books. Let's move to the next one.
All right, next up is Christopher Bremer, and he brought he's asking about a resistance list with Poe Dameron, Vanessa Doza, Zay Versio, both of those are T-70s, and then Tally in the RZ-2A wing. I'll go through the loadout first, and then I'll read what was written about it. Poe Dameron in the YT-1300 comes with Trick Shot, Heroic, Ray Gunner, False Transponder Codes, Engine Upgrade, and the Millennium Falcon. Benizia comes with the Integrated S-Foils, Munitions Failsafe, and Proton Torpedoes. Zay Versio, and Venetia's pilot ability, by the way, is while you perform a torpedo or missile attack, you may treat the front requirement as a rear for the attack. If you do treat that range requirement as 1 or 2, basically if you have a missile or a torpedo, you can shoot it out the back, range 1 or 2. And then Zay Versio with Crack Shot R6D8, which is the one that's if you have anybody who has the bullseye ability on the ship that you're shooting, how many ever bullseyes are on it, you get to reroll that many amount of dice. And then Tally with just proton torpedoes. And his comment is, list is built around Poe being I-6 boosting large base that puts out consistent damage. Double proton torpedoes hit hard at a 4-point T-70 because why not? Interested to hear what is the thought on the list, and if anything they would change. I've been liking Poe. It's the toss-up between Tally or Kaz and the upgrades I've been playing around with. So it's pretty open-ended. There's not, other than saying I like these ships, and Poe is basically don't touch Poe. He likes Poe. So we won't touch Poe at all right here if he likes it. So let me start off by going through down the list. I think the pilots are interesting. There's other 5-point T-70s that are also worthwhile, Temin and a couple other ones. But Vanessa Doza is pretty interesting, and with the fact that it has a missile plus a torpedo, it actually opens up some options for mainly I want to have an advanced proton torpedo that reaches range 1 and 2 out your back. That's 5 dice behind you. So let's start with that.
Dion, check the link.
Oh, what the window?
You're showing a completely different link.
Got too many tabs open.
So all the tabs, every tab.
No worries, I just got it.
All right. What? No, stop.
Yeah, it's the resistance one.
Yeah, it's
the resistance.
Boom. There it is. Okay.
There you go.
So where are we starting?
Touch Poe. He likes Poe, and that Poe, there's nothing wrong with that Poe. So let's go with even though I like the one that clears all the stress. That way you can barrel roll boost and do all kinds of nonsense, and then just clear it with 1 blue. But we'll leave that one as is.
Corsello.
Yeah, Corsello. There you go. With Venice, I would take out the proton torpedo and make it advanced proton torpedo. That way you can get range 1 or 2 out of the rear. And then with the additional 4 points, I would either do, you know what? Let's do a cluster missile. That way you can also choose to take 2 shots out of the front or 2 shots out of the rear, and it gives you a total of
Doesn't allow you to take
5.
an extra shot out of the rear.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't say. It just says after you attack, you may perform this attack as a bonus attack against a different target at range 0 to 1 of the defender, ignoring the target lock requirements. You're shooting out of the back.
I just want to double check cluster missiles wording to make sure it falls.
Yeah, because it would have to be in your rear arc because you're essentially shooting it out of your rear arc.
Yeah, the ruling would be for cluster missiles when people have tried to mess around. It's like you have to meet the requirements for the card, and then Vanessa changes those requirements from front to back.
So I would just do
If you
that.
want.
You can also go something like concussion missile, or if you and just drop the munitions fail safe. But you're single modding your torpedoes most of the time, so I kind of like munitions fail safe on there in case you go like 5 blanks with your advanced proton. With Zay Versio,
Can I ask a question? Is concussion potentially better just because then you have a range 3 option? Because if you're going advanced proton torpedoes, which is a range 1 option, maybe to get a little bit of diversity there for range.
But you can only shoot range 2 out the back though, and she's already got a 3 dice gun out the front.
No. You get. It says may. You can choose. You can shoot it out of the front if you want. It's a May ability.
Right, but you can't shoot range 3 out the back.
Got it.
No. Yeah.
Got it. The ability restricts makes the missile / torpedo into range 1 and 2.
Into
Got
range
it.
1 and 2,
I missed that.
yeah.
I missed that. All right. Cluster missiles. Keep it. I like it.
Yeah. And Zay, I actually like Zay the way it is as well. Just with R68. If you wanted to change it a little bit, you can probably go with heroic and marksmanship just to get some crits in there, especially with R68. The marksmanship and R68 play well together, and it's a good way to knock crates off. There's no other, there's going to be no other crit dynamics here. And so I like those 3 lists. The only one I would change really is Tally. If you're looking for a 4-point A-wing right now in the Resistance, you have to go with Lulo. Lulo is just really good. It went from 5 to 4 points, and it has a ton of loadout. I personally like Lulo very defensively with shield upgrade, heroic, and elusive. So basically, because he lowers his own agility to get that offensive output, just give that extra shield, give that extra, oops, I blanked out with my 2, and that elusive to just get an additional reroll if you only blanked out with one of the 2.
This hurts me so.
What?
Heroic and elusive?
Double down. Double
I
down.
am doubling down and shield upgrade.
Wait,
It's not doubling down.
No.
It's not called doubling
Ryan,
down.
I'm
What if you didn't have
my
a-
defense?
what if you didn't have a focus and you re-rolled an eyebrow result
stop
into
it.
a blank?
Don't stop fueling it.
Oh wait, no, you can re-roll both of them again.
Lulo
you
actually
can,
needs
you
to
can,
do
you can, you're
damage
not allowed.
to matter in this, though. You're not
Because
having
that's the
damage
point of it, right?
output. You're
So
just
what
counting
would
on
you-
a single focus to give him a damage output at all?
Well, like I said, this is the way I like it. That's the way I've been using them. If you want to go with something like crack shot and marksmanship, that's perfectly, or starboard slash.
Or predator elusive, I'll take that. Or crack
Yeah.
slash, crack shot, starboard slash.
I
Actually, I think you
I would
mentioned
go predator heroic over predator elusive. But
Right.
yeah, whatever. I mean, if you want to get offensive, yeah, just build it to taste. The net of it is Lulo is a better buy than Tally right now.
So, question: you already went through Poe Falcon, right?
I
you
didn't
cleared
touch
that?
it purposely because in the comments he basically said he loves Poe and has been having great success with Poe.
Oh,
Just
sure.
wants.
The only thing I
suggestions on the
question is heroic on a not Ray, like a not Finn Gunner Falcon, especially when you've already taken an illicit. trick shot is nice, but with Poe's ability, you may not even need engine upgrade. You could swap engine upgrade and heroic and take Notorious.
Yeah, get some offensive rerolls as well. Bring some gas clouds, see if people strain themselves.
Yeah. And you could have Crack / Lulo.
Well,
slash some people for some strain.
Yeah, another more strain. Yeah.
I mean, if you're switching Poe around, I would try
I'm
to
only
get
switching 5
Corcella
points
in
of the
there.
loadout. That's it.
No, I get it. I would try to get
I do think the
Corcella in
base
there.
of Ray Gunner with an I6 false transponder code Poe, who every other turn with his ability can basically use fine-tuned controls to boost or red barrel roll. It's pretty good.
Now, Poe has been my surprise hit out of the hot shots and aces. He's the one that I was like, he's really outshining what I thought even my high expectations for him were.
Out of the whole pack?
Yeah. He's surprising. It turns out we could boost a barrel roll. Your large base,
Yeah.
doing pretty
Yeah,
good.
if you
I
read
ain't
his
ignoring
word-
obstacles.
If you read his words carefully enough, they just say fine-tuned controls every other turn. And I go, huh, that's
Well,
6, that's pretty
why-
good.
I read it as I'm dash Rendar every turn.
Yeah, me too.
Just by
That-
flying through obstacles.
Well,
Yeah.
Don't get blocked onto a rock.
Well, try not to do that.
Yeah,
Your
and that's the
turret.
weird thing that so my Poe I originally built didn't even have trick shot. I kept engine upgrade and went with Notorious and Novice Technician because I already don't want to take. I'm already taking the smallest obstacles possible, right? Because if my opponent brings big ones, I don't want to also bring big ones and limit Poe's ability to do those boosts and barrels. Sure, I could fly through obstacles, but that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do the extra boosts every other turn or the advantageous barrel every other turn if I need to. And I want more space with that, not more rocks. So if I'm bringing the smallest rocks, do I want trick shot? It could still be helpful. Maybe there is a reason where instead of engine upgrade and novice technician, I bring trick shot and just get, I dump the 1 point somewhere, nowhere, because there's no more slots to use a single point on. But Poe's got very early in Poe Falcon life. Try what you want, but I question the heroic part, and I think you have an easy chance at Notorious on the ship.
You do. But if you're going Notorious, I would honestly... Notorious is nice. However, I find Corcella much more useful, so I would rather just keep Trick Shot and Corcella. Corcella just allows you to do...
Sell 5 or 6.
6 points. That's why you can't have both. If you're dropping engine upgrade, it's very possible you're going to be double stressed.
The one thing I do like about engine upgrade is even though you do have some of those nice mid-game free boosts with his ability, it's the early game positioning where I don't want to use those charges to maybe get up the board a bit with a boost and not stress myself and not use his ability at the same time.
All right. So it looks like we're having a bit of a debate on exactly how we want to build out that Poe Dameron, but it sounds like we have a couple options. I'm going to leave what they have for right now, but when you come back and listen to this segment, hopefully you do, we got some suggestions on some different Poes.
The main difference is changing out Tally for Lulo. Everything else just built to taste.
All right. So let's get that in the dock. And let's move on to the next one. Is it my turn?
No, it's mine.
Going through this.
I was trying to get. So we got Noah and Sniper 101. He did post 2 lists just in case we could do both. He did have. I did find out through Twitch chat the preference of which one he'd prefer us.
Let's do the preferred one.
Okay, cool.
So is that?
I prefer talking about his Separatist list, which is just called Mess, because it is kind of just a menagerie smash of ships. But starting off with a not so common take these days. A lot of people considered to be thrown to the side because you're the same cost as Django. Why would you ever bring this ship? Well, Noah likes this Aura Singh with Notorious proton cannons, because Aura Singh does get 2 cannon slots, Seismic charges, false transponder codes, Slave 1 title, and veteran tail gunner. We have the new Tri-Fighter Volan Das with shield upgrade, false transponder codes, and marksmanship. Dirge with ion cannon, ion bombs, and Xanadu blood title. The Iron Assembler Vulture with energy shell charges, independent calculations, munitions failsafe, struts, and then DFS 081 regular version, not the Coruscant version, with also independent calc, struts, and energy shell charges. So, I mean, what Noah describes here, this list I made for Aura, for all the new CIS pilots from Hot Shots and Aces, and it works really well for controlling. Dirge can joust the enemy while cloaked, and force them to engage him while he ions them. This keeps whatever Dirge is messing with even a full list, and lets Aura and Voland flank or go after the ace. The droids do really well to keep objectives, and if I have one question, it would be weighing Aura or Django, or which one is better. Personally, Noah loves Aura for the loadout. Django ability is much better in his opinion. He also likes Aura because of her Notorious better, because she's an I4 shooting later, and she can get in better blocking and better positions that she wants to be in because she would generally move earlier in movement order. So that's the great first discussion. Is it Django or is it Aura? So Aura, unlike some of the other low initiative scum fire sprays, does not have any additional defensive ability beyond just I have a force. She's not like Kashka Frost. She's not like Boba. So her survivability is just dictated on maybe taking up some of those spaces you talked about, where she gets to move generally, not before anyone. She's still I4. There's other I4s out there and below, not a ton below these days. She's got an advantageous Notorious, has an opportunistic proton cannon, which is actually pretty nice. Still has false transponder codes, still has seismic charges and veteran tailgun. So you got the whole suite of general fire spray stuff that you want in Separatist. But if your survivability is almost the exact same as Django mathematically, being that Django is going to purchase a force crew, he's going to have false transponder codes and veteran tailgun, a bomb of some sort. Could opt for Notorious or make the bomb even better, or some other options. It's hard to not just go Django. Ability or not, I6 boosting is extremely powerful. Your opponent knowing less about where Django's going to be because he reveals his dial later. You don't know for sure if Django committed to a lane or decided to still work his way around. You know less about where Django is going, or you have to guess what he's going to do more than Aura. Does anyone have a devil's advocate or reason to stick with Aura, I guess, would be my question to everyone.
Yes, because he said that he's trying to use everybody from that pack.
But he did bring up the question that should it be Django or Aura? I didn't just bring it up. He had it in his notes.
Can you do me a favor then? Can you build me a Django with loadout so I can compare the two better?
Sure.
While you're doing that, the very easy answer is no. You would never take Aura in a list that if your purpose is to win, Django is going to be better 99.99% of the time. And the 0.01% that Aura is better is because you got lucky with something.
All right, so what would be the Django loadout here?
So the Django loadout, I think the baseline version most people are going with right now, you have Slave 1 title, you have Veteran Tail Gunner, you have False Transponder Codes, you have Contraband Cybernetic, and you have Savage Oppress. That's the base. The last 8 points could be a mix of I'll take Notorious and a Seismic, or I'll take a different talent and a better bomb.
Proximity.
Or I'll upgrade Savage to Dooku or Palpatine and take a bomb. I've been opting out of Notorious more on Django, I guess, and like Marcel said, take the last 8 points. Proximity. You're at I6. You get to choose where you are later. If you have that opportunity to boost over top of someone and get a rear arc shot and drop a proximite on them in the very next system phase, that's really dangerous for a lot of ships. So there's a plethora of options. Your baseline is Savage, Contraband, False Transponder, Veteran Tail Gunner. Option to increase Savage to one of the other Force users being Dooku or Palpatine, or choice of bomb and or talent and keep Savage. So Will, I guess from that, what do you think?
Okay, well that's what I was checking on. Is like how comparable can you be? And in fact, you actually get. It feels like, well, because you're dropping the proton cannon for the other illicit. Is essentially what it comes down to.
You could take a HLC. You could take HLC on Django and take a 4-point bomb. You still got proton bombs.
That's true. Well, I was like I said, just kind of comparing the notorious builds between them. Yeah, that's a tough one. I think you have to be able to leverage Aura Singh's ability, and I think that there's potential for that in this list. One of the main disruptions you can do with Aura Singh is move an ion from a ship that has too many onto a ship that has not enough, essentially.
Which Dirge is providing, theoretically. Although right. I do think, as much as you want to lean into the extra ion with ion bombs on Dirge, I think Dirge does need to really lean into his dead to rights and do ion cannon and HLC, the combo. Ion cannon when you don't have bullseye, HLC when you do have bullseye.
Sure. So I mean, I was just checking to make sure that there's, I guess, some synergy there. I feel like, yeah, unless you're a diehard Sing fan, you could probably be better off with Django.
All right, there you go. So
that's the first thing answered. You go Django instead. Adjust the Dirge. I probably adjust Volan Das. You need probably a little bit of reroll offense with taking a focus token than false transponder codes. False transponder codes are nice, but now if you have Django, you have a higher initiative false transponder codes. And then I think your Volan Das, if you like Shield, go Shield, Predator, or Elusive. I prefer Predator, and Deadman Switch, because it's your last 2 points and there's really nothing else to use it on. Although if you now don't have if you choose a non-notorious Django, you could do Overtune Modulator's Notorious Volan Das with a utility missile like a Mag Pulse or a Cluster Missile.
How did we want to give the last 6 points here, just so we can have actual upgrade tossed in there?
Contraband and Seismic.
Yeah, that's pretty standard. Get all the tools. Get all the toys.
The other thing that this Django has that Aura doesn't is Contraband, because Django has 2 illicits, and there's many Fire Spray players that I know that live and die by that Contraband. As good as it
All right, so there you go, Noah. Give that a shot. He did respond in the chat. Said, since my last loadout change, I've gone 17-2 with the list. I did try Django, and he does feel better for I6 acing people. I mean, it's high initiative has always been good, right, in the game. And when you get higher initiative, you get to move later, and you get more toys to play with. It's hard to argue with that at that same cost. Now, I'd be curious, at what point cost does Aura Singh all of a sudden become, we're like, ooh, why not?
7.
Is it 7?
7.
And that's
yeah, because right now 7 in Separatist is actually a very abysmal point platform.
all right.
Seven is just
Gauntlet.
Boba Fire Spray and Pre-Vizsla Gauntlet. Both are I3. Boba can be really tanky. Pre-Vizsla can provide a little bit extra firepower with Pre-Vizsla's ability, which at this point probably triggers against everyone because it's higher initiative stuff. You get an extra attack die every turn. But it's not exactly been lighting up things anywhere that I'm aware of.
All right. Well, we were able to get through, it looks like 8 of them in the time that I set aside for this. I know we got a bunch more. If this is something you like, let us know. We can just return to this idea next week. I know I love digging into people's problems. It is really difficult when they just like throw a list at us, but when you give us that specific thing you're trying to do, it makes a massive difference. And of course, we also learned that Marcel is part Wolverine, so that's fun for today. Before we go, I wanted to use our last little bit of time for something that Ryan suggested today in our chat, and essentially is what is our hopes for X-Wing in 2023. We have a year here that I think is personally I think is going to really matter for the future trajectory of X-Wing. And Ryan, since it was your idea to bring this up, I want to open the floor to you first.
So, honestly, I just hope for a successful, as enjoyable as possible Worlds event at Adepticon, and then bounce from that, because what we're expecting after that is this is going to be the first iteration of the year of official organized play by AMG. I'd like that to be successful. I just hope that we will have less gripes and more fun from that than maybe what people might be concerned about. We've had our pros and cons with AMG in the past in multiple conversations across many of our episodes in the past. Mm-hmm. I hope that it's my best hope is it is an easy and fun organized play for the year of 2023. Stores revitalized with store championship level stuff, more of it. The fact that they have said store championship winners will get world invites and stuff, like, it seems to me there's going to be a plethora of world invites going around. I hope they're not stingent on which stores get store championships, and we just get more of that multi-event things within each state, country around the world, so that there's just more play, there's more incentive to go out and have a fun competitive event, hosting or going to. And I hope the prizes are cool, they're awesome, maybe a couple innovations here and there in terms of I don't know, whatever they can think of. I don't know what AMG has done in the past in any capacity. I know their Marvel Crisis Protocol is what mainly people have compared to, because it's their main driving.
I mean, they're essentially a brand new company. When it comes to this, it's brand new, and Marvel Crisis Protocol going into COVID had just released and didn't have an organized play plan. Yeah, so this is all brand new.
Plans they might have had, but any plans they had were just shut down by COVID, because there's no organized play events when there were no physical games allowed to be played at that point.
Yep.
So, my hopes are just a successful first year of X-Wing organized play officially from AMG.
All right, Will.
My biggest hope is that the promised core sets, they said a long time ago, I think this was either the last or the first mini extravaganza, but they had talked about the faction-based core sets with, I think, up to 4 ships in them, plus some like standardized cards, all the new stuff they've been working on. And my hope is that those can be well received, not only from existing players, but people looking to get into the game. I think that's the longer a game has gone on, the harder it is for anybody to get into it. Think about any long-term game, like Warhammer. I'm thinking like card games as well, right? Even Magic is a constant struggle of like, how do we get someone to just walk into a game store, purchase one thing, and start playing? And that's what hopefully these new core sets can allow, is that there'll be something for returning players who just want some extra models, some extra components, things like that, who never splurged for a second core, right? They're still re-rolling that third dice as if it was the fourth dice. Yeah, we've all been there.
We've seen them. We've seen them. Yeah, we've been there.
But really, these new cores can usher in a new player base who can have easy access. But like I said, I'm hoping for one purchase, 20 points on the table, right? Like when someone's like, hey, I want to play X-Wing, what do I want to do? All we had to ask is, what faction do you like? Because there's one thing you can buy and it can get you to the table right away.
I love that. Buy the box, play the game.
Yeah, no,
You can do it that same day. That same day, just go.
There's standard loadout. Pull out the standard loadouts, assemble the pegs, boom, and you're setting dials within 10, 15, right? And I think that it's a high bar. Like, I don't blame them for taking a long time to develop these cores because it is going to usher in, like I said, hopefully, like a new era for player bases, for returning players, because that's what's going to keep the game going. Like, there's a lot of what I'm saying. There's a lot of talk about splitting off people, right? When anytime there's a big major change or something, we're going to lose players. And honestly, we lose players just because of time. Like, the game's been out. We've been playing the game for years and years and years, right? So, like, eventually some people are going to lose interest. That's just common occurrence. The problem is, though, getting those new players to come in and have those, like I said, a single product. There's someone who's like, I played first edition, I want to play second edition. And we can just point to one thing, be like, this is what you need. See how it does for you. And yeah, that's 7 different boxes. I don't know how they're going to pull it off, but fingers crossed that it is successful.
Marcel?
All right. So mine was going to be what Ryan said. So Ryan basically already said, like, my biggest hope for the community of X-Wing. So I'm just going to change it up and say the biggest hope for the Marcel of X-Wing. So just personally, like, this month I've been on, like, other video games and then just, like, with family and just doing other non-X-Wing things for the most part in December. I think I've probably played 2 or 3 games the entire month.
It's your off season.
I guess. I mean, I did play quite a bit, I think, in October, November. Mostly online, but I also went to, like, 2 local tournaments, which was nice with the fact that there was local tournaments again. So my hope is just that I can, that the local player base around here, and just the people that I like playing with, just to be able to play with them more often, more consistently. It kind of sucks. Like, I've been talking to, like, for example, Brandon, and Dion knows Brandon. Everybody on the internet world probably not. But, just saying, like, yeah, it'd be nice to, like, hang out and play again. And then, saw Francois recently and stuff like that. And I kind of, I miss that. So I hope that that kind of sparks up again, like the local player base. And in the toys as well. Like, I do play online here and there, but honestly, like, this entire year, I haven't opened any of the X-Wing stuff. I've bought it all. It's just sitting there, and I mean, you saw when I went to your house, to play.
Yeah.
I took the boxes and we opened them right there, and we built.
Yes,
stuff.
same for me, right? There hasn't been a reason because we haven't been able to really go to events.
Yeah, and I'm at a point now where I have all the factions, every single ship, multiples of everything, and I live in a condo, which is limited space, and I'm trying, and I'm honestly starting to take stuff off the shelves, in that little shelf that I have right here. In the
your
home
like
office.
personal storage. Yep.
Yeah, and I'm taking X-Wing stuff off, and I'm throwing other hobbies on there. I mean, that's what I've been doing this year. Is I've been putting other hobby-related things in that space, and I'm trying to think like, well, maybe I can move this somewhere else to like a more distant storage space that I can, like we have more storage in the basement, where I would go down and when I really need it, grab what I need, versus having it right here and readily available. And I don't like that. I'd rather go back to like having X-Wing be my, like, everything accessible there, and I'm going and I'm grabbing it every week, and I'm going out every week and meeting people. And that's something that we've been talking with Kayla too. Kayla's like, she doesn't really play online X-Wing. She doesn't like it, and she's just saying like she misses playing and with people, and she misses X-Wing, but she doesn't enjoy digital X-Wing. She just likes going and talking to people and hanging out with people. And anyway, so that's been missing for about going on 3 years, and I think that's hopefully something that, for me personally, that kind of changes in 2023.
So mine is very. It kind of combines a lot of this. What you and Ryan were saying, as well as Will. I honestly think the number one thing that will put X-Wing back on. I'm going to say back on track, because I feel like things have changed so much. Is store championships that people care about. Make it whatever the prizes are, people want to chase them. Okay, people want to get multiple of them, because this is my best memories of X-Wing. Store Championship Series schedule releases. That day, messaging the group, where are we going? How many store championships can we get to in this season? There has been. It almost became like a sports schedule, where it's like, all right, we're going here, we're going there, and as a team, we're trying to get these store championships. That right there does a bunch of different things. First, you got people actively playing your game. Of course, they're chasing prizes, but you're creating an environment that. We saw the most people really get deep into X-Wing was when they were like new. They came in and they're like, wait, you guys are like traveling on the weekends to go to another state to play this tournament, and you're creating these bigger social events in different places in different regions that created bigger communities. And then your local community starts feeding off of that, and your base now has something to talk about, right? It's like, hey, we're trying to get better as a group, because hey, we know that in a couple months we have X, Y, and Z store championships, regionals. Those two levels of X-Wing is what we saw, in my opinion, the biggest amount of growth. They get those two levels of X-Wing right, which you could replace, regionals with more store championships. I think that's fine, but the prizes have to again be chaseable. I know that customized dice, different type of dice, has always been a really good pool, especially if you keep them scarce. Right? If you keep them scarce, top 4, top 8. Marcel, you're saying 4? What do you think?
I'm saying top. I mean, if it's going to be store championship level, I would say top 2.
Okay.
But if it's like regional, top
you
4,
only get
top 8.
Like 1 or 2 pairs. You don't get the whole set.
Yeah,
you have to
like
win
3
multiples if you want the whole set.
Yeah, you get like 2 pairs, and then if you have to win or you have to get if you're going to do like top 4, then like only 2 of each for each. That way you have to hit multiple in order to get enough to really put on a table.
Right, and that right there, it creates a situation where you're motivated to play at different store championships. Thus, you get to meet other people from different stores, right? We've met, man, again, my best memories of X-Wing is there was like 3 years of store championships where we went Michigan, Wisconsin, Indiana, Minnesota. We were going everywhere. And we got to meet so many people, whether that was just as a player or with the stream. That built the community so much. That's what I want to see. And
I thought your favorite memory of X-Wing was hearing me snore when we roomed together.
And that's on the stack of good memories. Who is one of the people? Somebody in our group has we could create a 10-hour loop of snoring, just kind of going.
I think it was Ron, Brandon, and me snoring.
Yeah, I think Nate Moore has the recording. I think it's on his phone. But anyway, like that's store championship level. And then ideally regional level to be able to add just a different set of prizes that do the same thing will really grow it. Because what will happen is, because I know Lambolo says not many stores are invested into X-Wing. Here's the thing. You have 3 or 4 players, right, that say, hey, we want to do a store championship, and you have these desirable prizes. All of a sudden, you get players traveling, right? Because what stores want to see is people. They want to see people inside their stores, and that's an instant attract, but the prizes have to matter. And in my opinion, like the World's Invite will do it, but you got to have more than just the World's Invite. You got dice, you got other customized things, and I think we're past the point where templates do it. I think it's the template market thing is too saturated, and it's too easy for you to get a really nice template set online. And outside of something like really premium, you're the original, just kind of standard acrylics. I don't think it does it anymore. So those are our hopes for 2023. We'll see what ends up happening. We will be here along the way to let you know what we think. And it looks like we got more lists to cover. So we'll be back if we didn't cover your list this week. Hopefully we get to it next week. We have quite a few to go through. And thank you again for joining us. Hopefully you had a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever did you celebrate, or at least if you don't celebrate anything this holiday season, just had some good days. Thanks for watching, everybody. Be smart and be safe. Gold Squadron.